Last week we drove almost 1,300 miles from Utah to Illinois, battling construction, bumpy roads, malfunctioning cars, and trailers that are falling apart from the inside out. You can find that video right up here. If you've never met us before, we are the Huntingtons. We are a part-time travel family. In between work and school, we spend our time adventuring. We love traveling to destinations near and far. If you're looking for cruise, Disney, or travel content, you are in the right place. This week, while we're waiting to find out what is up with our brand new car, we are visiting some of the historical sites around Nauvoo, Illinois. I don't really have any videos of Old Nauvoo because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that runs the historic site asked everyone not to take videos, but go ahead and take all the pictures you like. I realized too late that they probably only meant inside the historic buildings, and I probably could have taken pictures around the streets of Old Nauvoo, but I did not. You guys, we had so much fun and we learned so many cool things in all of the different shops and buildings inside of Nauvoo. First, we stopped at the visitor center, which they actually had quite a big parking lot, so it wasn't super difficult if you needed to park an RV there. We actually had our RV parked at the campground, which was called Camp Nauvoo. It's run by the Community of Christ Church. It's a beautiful setting just off of the Missouri River. It was about $40 a night. They had full hookups as well as public bathrooms, showers. They had laundry, but it was down when we were there. And oh my gosh, the sunset, you guys, and the fireflies were so cool. The visitor center was huge. It had lots of cool exhibits as well as public bathrooms and running water. And the missionaries who were in the visitor center were super helpful. They had maps and they suggested a lot of fun things for the kids to do. The historical part of Nauvoo has a really cool living history vibe to it. All the furnishings and stuff in the houses are accurate to that time period, and some of them even belong to the people who actually owned and lived in those houses. This place has so many cool experiences. There are so many places to explore. There's a blacksmith shop, a gun shop, a bakery. There's a tinsmith shop where they show you how they make cookie cutters. There was also a brickyard and a post office and a print shop and a shoe shop. There is so much stuff to do and see. There's even an oxen encounter. You could take carriage rides around the town that is tour guided, where they tell you stories about the people who live there. My favorite place though has got to be the Family Living Center. You could spend hours here. This building is basically a place where you can go and learn how people lived in the 1800s, and you can actually like try dipping candles, making barrels, making rope. They let us keep the rope that the kids made. They also taught them how bricks were made and gave us a souvenir brick. They were also able to learn how bread was made, how they used to weave cloth. They tried stilts and other games. They allowed them to pet the horses, and the whole thing was really very hands-on, and the kids will never forget it. Oh, I forgot to mention the shows. They actually have a couple of stage shows. At least while we were there were 2 stage shows, one in the morning and one in the evening. It was super fun. They had a live band playing some old songs before the show started, and the whole thing was run by volunteers. It was super cute. Overall, there was way more to do there than we expected, and you could definitely spend 2 or 3 days there. The Historic Nauvoo website actually has a suggested itinerary. If I only had like a day though, here are the things that I would not miss. I would definitely see the Family Living Center, obviously, as well as the bakery where they give you samples of cookies. The carriage ride is a really great way to see kind of an overview of the whole city, as well as to learn some American history. And I would definitely stop by the blacksmith shop. Okay, so we just heard from a dealership in Carthage that said that they would take a look at our car for us, so we're headed down there now. While the dealership took a look at our car, we went and toured another historical site called Carthage Jail. Okay, we're back on the road again. At this point, I'm gonna let Ryan tell you what's happening because he's the one who actually talked to the dealership.
We drove to the nearest Chevy dealership, which was in Carthage, Illinois, and they ran a diagnostic on the check engine light, and it came back as an issue with the catalytic converter. And of course, the big concern is that 1, we need to be to Toronto by Friday, and 2, they didn't have the part anyways. If they could have fixed it, they said it could take weeks just to get the part. But the technician did say he thought that if it was actually a big deal for the check engine light, that the car would have stopped working by now. So he encouraged us just to keep on going, and he thought it would be okay. So fingers crossed. We are continuing on our way. I think that's one of the things that's been frustrating, of course, is we traded in our other trailer to get a trailer that was a little bit bigger, that would be more comfortable for the kids. And on the first day, when we got to Laramie, there were several things that had just broken during the drive. So one of the shelves in the kids' room came off, which you guys saw the picture of that, which was frustrating considering it's brand new. And then one of the blinds, when they had put them in at the factory, they didn't even secure it into any actual wood. And we know that trailers aren't built the best by any means, but I would have expected at least more than one time to have issues with the trailer. And then the truck, of course, with the check engine light, has been super frustrating. Just the fact that it's a brand new truck and having issues. And this is the first time we've ever owned a Chevy truck. Previously, we'd owned an F-150, which was a fantastic truck for us and pulled our trailer many times with it. And then the truck right before this one was my F-150 Raptor, which was a fantastic truck, and that's what we traded in to get this one. We never had issues with those, but yeah, within our first 1,300 miles, we've had this check engine light on, so super frustrated. Hopefully it's not a big deal and we can just get it resolved. It's all under warranty, of course, from Chevy, but it's just ridiculously a pain in the neck to have to get it fixed during this 6-week adventure.
This whole trip has been a lot different than we expected. It's been a lot harder than we expected in a lot of ways. It's really quite stressful pulling the trailer if you haven't done it much before. And we we didn't take any trips in our new trailer or in the truck that pulling the trailer before we left for this trip, because there just wasn't time. Like, we just ran out of time finding the trailer and trying to find the right one. So that was like super stressful, just trying to get to know everything. Of course, there was all that problems with everything that was like shaken apart the first time we got there. Nothing like that's happened again, so that's been good. We've been driving a lot. The first day we were like 6 hours, and then the next two, and then another like 6 or 7 hours the next day, and then 5. Today we're gonna try and do like 8 hours if we can, which is good. We're making like good time, but the downside is that it's stressful pulling the trailer. It's not the same kind of driving that you do when you're not pulling a trailer, so you can't go as fast. The wind acts differently with the car, and the bumps in the road are different, and so it's just like more slow going. You don't get as good gas mileage, and so you're stopping for gas more often. Is there anything else you wanted to add to like good things and bad things?
I think for me, the hardest part has just been probably the quickness, but we have to make a good time each day in order to get to the destination in Toronto by Friday. So Saturday, when we left from our house in Utah, we did just over 400 miles the first day, which took just over, I think it was like 7.5 hours. So a pretty long day. Day 2, we did just under 500 miles, which was almost a 8.5, 9-hour day. And then the third day we went, from Nebraska, from Lincoln to Nauvoo, Illinois. And that was a little bit shorter day.
Like 330 miles.
And that was only 300-ish miles. So it was about a 5.5, 6 hour drive. But that was probably the worst out of all the drives because the wind was so bad. We were just having vibrations the entire time, which made the driving not enjoyable at all. It was really stressful. Even the kids in the back were having a hard time reading their book because it was moving so much. And so out of all the days, that was probably the worst day for driving.
Now we're headed to Michigan. We'll see how it goes. So far, the drive has been a lot more smooth, and it hasn't been as windy, so it's not as grating on the nerves, which is good. So it's great that we had a rest day in Illinois today, and Oreo says subscribe so you don't miss all of her cuteness. If you have any suggestions or comments and things that we should add or things you'd like to see, please leave them below because we read every single one of those. See you next week for our adventures in Michigan.